All right, folks. Are we live? Did it start early and you guys saw me awkwardly drinking water? I hope not. But all right, guys, tonight on the Vince Dow Show, a man has won Miss Netherlands. It is now Mr. Netherlands. And honestly, if you want my prediction, he's probably going to win all of Miss Universe. Would not be surprised about that. Also, the Sound of Freedom movie sends CNN and liberal media into a panic. Also, apparently, if you go to the gym, all right, you got that, guys? You work out, you take care of yourself. According to MSNBC, that makes you a far-right extremist, and Trump balls out at the UFC event. That and more tonight. Stay tuned. We are live tonight from the Third World Republic known as the United States. Welcome everyone to the Vince Dow Show. It is July 10th, the year of our Lord 2023. Got a great show for you tonight, but before we begin, as usual, be sure to leave a like right now on the stream, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and if you got questions, comments, Q&A, whatever, or just support for the show, feel free to send it in via the Super Chats. I will be checking these Super Chats regularly throughout the night in between all of our segments. In fact, we got one right now from Zachary for $5. Says, got motion sickness at work today. Button truck top seat is something to get used to. We also lost a headset, lol. Well, thank you for the $5, Zach. I mean, sorry to hear that. I mean, at least you're here. At least the day is over. And, hope you have a better day at work tomorrow. But thank you for the $5. God bless you, man. But yeah, guys, if you do want to super chat to support the show, it is greatly appreciated. But all right, with that said, tonight got a lot to talk about. We got a dude winning female beauty pageants. Part of me wants to say, let's go men, victory for the patriarchy, but, it is, we get it, it is bad. But also, okay, Sound of Freedom, Trump working out as far right, got a lot to talk about tonight. So, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, let's just get right into the news tonight. It is the Hour of Dow, so let's get started again, guys. If you do want to super chat to support the show, it is greatly appreciated. But all right, we open tonight with this story, ladies and gentlemen. It is truly clown world. I don't know what else to say, but a quote-unquote trans woman, a quote-unquote transformer, has won the Miss Netherlands beauty pageant contest, okay? So it's a women's beauty pageant. Obviously, it's supposed to measure women's beauty, and we just straight up have a transformer Autobot, Optimus Prime, actually winning the beauty pageant. Now, look, there's not a lot I have to say about this off the gate. It's 2023. It's clown world. What else do we have to say? But I do want to point this out. A lot of people are pointing this out, okay? So this is obviously on your left, you see the, that won the beauty pageant. And then there on the right, that's the runner-up. Okay, that's the runner-up. She's a woman, whatever, right? A woman you think should win the women's beauty pageant. And you also see, right, she looks pretty good. So this is the comparison we're making here now, okay? And it's just ridiculous. It's absolute clown world stuff. But let's do this little thought exercise here for a second, okay? Let's pretend for a moment. I mean, obviously, there are automatic disqualifications. You would think there's automatically characteristics about the person who won this beauty pageant that should disqualify that individual from the beauty pageant. But regardless, pretend this for a moment. I want to prove how ridiculous this is. Pretend this for a moment. Pretend the individual you see on your left, you don't know that it's a Transformer Decepticon, right? You don't know, you think it's a normal woman, whatever. Okay. Still, by those standards, by any conventional standard of female beauty, explain to me, again, pretend you don't know. Pretend you think what you're looking at on your left is, a normal, whatever. Pretend you don't know. Still, how can anyone not reach the conclusion, ultimately, that the one on the right is still, by any conventional standard of female beauty, still more attractive? See, that's the thing. If they want to run with this, they're a woman as well, right? That's a woman on your left also. Okay, actually, fine. How is that on your left still more conventionally attractive or beautiful by any standards of a beauty pageant? By any standards. And that's the thing, is that to some degree, there is such a thing as objective beauty. That's the truth. The left wants to deny that. They always say, no, it's all subjective, whatever. And yeah, it is true to some degree. There are preferences and things. Some people prefer types of women or men. Some people prefer different types of art or whatever. But ultimately, there is a natural human instinct, I would argue, that can ultimately 100% discern beauty, right? And so why, if you take a human being from any corner of the globe and take them to one of the great cathedrals of Europe or the Shinto temples in Japan or whatever, they will look at that building and say it is beautiful. Doesn't matter what corner of the earth they're from, because again, there is such a thing as objective beauty. In the same exact sense, yes, different cultures have, this body type, that, we prefer this, prefer that. But ultimately, at the end of the day, men, women, we can all discern beauty, and we all just very visibly look at this and say, that's backwards. Okay, whoever won this thing here is backwards. Again, this is pretending we don't know the immediate disqualifying characteristics of this individual, which, are obviously the case. But yeah, that's the thing we should point out in this case, is that beauty is objective, and that's kind of, to a degree, what the left hates, because they themselves are incapable of creating beauty, right? Because what does it fundamentally mean sort of to be a leftist, right? You reject natural order, you reject natural hierarchy, you reject tradition, you reject God, you reject any concept of the human soul. And so as a result of that, you will very often notice that everything the left produces is ugly, and these people seem to be virtually incapable of actually creating anything of beauty. Have you ever seen a leftist, any famous left-wing artist or whatever, really create, at least since the 50s, right, really create anything all that beautiful? You look at the modern art they created, they just whole splat paint on a piece of white paper and say that's art. Compare that to, Picasso or whatever. Terrible, right? You look at architecture, you look at what we build in the United States today. You look at the Soviet Union, for instance. I think that's the prime example. Notice that everything aesthetically that the Soviet Union ever produced was vehemently ugly. The whole aesthetic there was ugly, especially you compare that to Imperial Russia, all that stuff. You compare that to what the West historically did, right? And then the more left-wing our society becomes. Notice how much uglier everything gets, and notice how even stuff like this, forget the art, forget just look at what we value in terms of beauty standard, right? We look at someone like Lizzo and say, that's objectively the beauty standard that everyone ought to abide by. And it's ridiculous, right? It's nonsense. Everyone knows it's not beautiful, but the left has to convince themselves that ugly things are beautiful, because inwardly it reflects what goes on in their soul, right? Inside they are ugly. They have ugly beliefs. They believe in ugly things. And because on the inside, they're miserable, they're soulless, they're godless. They're literally unable to produce anything on the outside that is of beauty. And so they can throw us this all they want. But look, do I need to prove? Do I need to go through every facial feature here? Or do you just need to point, and by the way, beyond that? Or do I just point out, clearly it's pretty obvious, right, folks? And why is that? Again, because beauty is objective. And that's what the left hates, because everything the left creates is ugly. And it is very true. But there is the Miss Universe story. I have to imagine that this individual, this dude, is going to win all of Miss Universe. Okay, it's going to be Mr. Universe. And if I were to be totally honest, part of me wants to find it funny because the patriarchy, every single time wins. But obviously on a bigger scale, yes, there are many things wrong with it, and there are many things that they want to do to destroy beauty, destroy all that stuff, and it is real. So anyways, before we move on here, I know we got a lot of super chats, so let me get caught up on these ones. Burgundy Blue for $2 says, Vince, when are you planning the next members block? I don't know. It's not going to be tonight for sure, but sometime this week, maybe Tuesday or Wednesday. I don't know. I'll let you know. I mean, I plan to go to the gym tonight after, because I have not gone yet today, but at some point, yeah. But thank you for the two. Tuesday through Thursday, one of those days. Not sure yet. Thank you for the $2. Leave the kids alone for $10. Thank you very much. Says, it's time for men to show women we can do anything they can do better. Yeah, it is kind of true, right? It is kind of true. Women's beauty pageant. Oh yeah, look at this man. Look at this man winning the beauty pageant. Let's go. Okay, round of applause for the patriarchy, ladies and gentlemen. We really just are that good. We really just are that good, right? So if you're a woman out there, okay, if you're a woman out there and you do beauty pageants, you're one of the pageant girls, or you do modeling, you do athletics, and you may be asking yourselves, right, what is the key to success? How do I best, win in my field or be a successful woman? And I have a very simple answer to you. In 2023, you got to play the game. You got to do whatever it takes to win. So I have a simple answer, okay? Become a man. There you go. Oh, Vince, how can I become a man? I can't change my chromosomes. I can't change my DNA. Well, then sucks to suck, it's true, right? Apparently that's how it goes. So it is true. Thank you for the $10. Leave the kids alone. Look, we're joking, by the way, before someone gets mad. It's a joke. Yes, it's bad. It's bad, okay? But there's a side of me that wants to take humor in it because, look, it's clown world. What do you want me to do, okay? We can either always be miserable about the decline of our civilization, or sometimes we can bask in the irony of it and say, well, look, okay, the male species, let's go. We're winning at everything. We're beating the women at their own sports. We're beating the women at the beauty pageants. Let's go, man. Let's go, boys, okay? It's so true. Thank you for the $10. We are joking. Dollar for $5 says beauty pageants are freaking weird. A bunch of abusive moms putting their kids on stage for a bunch of adults to judge how cute they are. Thank you for the $5. Well, this is a adult beauty pageant for the record, but I do agree. I mean, I would never put my daughter in one of those beauty pageants. I know they're a big thing in like Texas and stuff, but I never understood it. But yeah, thank you for the $5. It is true. I wouldn't do it either. Sheeny Beanie for 2 says men are the best women according to the left. Look, we're just the best at everything, okay? Men stay winning. Let's go, man, okay? It's true. We hold all the male sports records and all the female sports records, okay? We're just thank you for the $2, Sheeny Beanie. Sheeny Beanie for another 2 says the patriarchy always comes through, folks. It's real. Thank you for the 2. Burgundy Blue for 20 says, honestly, I don't get the idea of beauty pageants. I hate to sound like a lib cuck, but beauty is one of the least important traits of a woman. The average woman is beautiful enough, but not enough of them are internally good. Thank you for the 20. I mean, yeah, it is true that most women, their problem is they're not beautiful on the outside, but I'm the inside, I should say. But I don't know. I don't really have a stance on them, to tell you the truth. I don't watch Miss Universe. I don't care who wins it or whatever. But what I will say is that beauty pageants do reflect what society finds beautiful, hence why they're called beauty pageants. And so I do think it's of relevance to us if, like, straight up men or obese women or whatever are winning the beauty pageants. Same thing with Vogue, right? I don't read Vogue magazine. I don't think any of us read Vogue magazine or care. But because that's sort of this trend center of fashion, of attractiveness, all that stuff, I think it does matter to us in that regard, right? Because it tells you what society or the mainstream overarching culture is trying to say is beautiful, and I do think that is relevant. But thank you for the $20, Burgundy Blue. I appreciate it very much. Woman of the Year. Yeah, it's true. Even the Woman of the Year, folks, are men, okay? Remember when didn't Bruce Jenner win the Woman of the Year or something? There you go, okay? Let's go, men. The boys, okay? The boys were winning. We're winning everything. Andrew M for $5 says, according to the left, Grishnak the orc is beautiful, and we must agree. I don't even know who Grishnak the orc is, but I could imagine that's probably the case. Thank you for the $5. I appreciate it very much. But yeah, all right, let's continue on here, ladies and gentlemen. Moving on here from Clown World 1 to Clown World 2, but sort of a different form of Clown World. So, you may be familiar by now with this new movie called Sound of Freedom. If you have not, it's basically this independent film. It's very well done, okay? It's a very powerful, good movie, but fundamentally, it is about human trafficking, right? It tells a true story of a guy who went around the world to go fight human trafficking, stop human trafficking, free the victims, and it's called The Sound of Freedom, okay? For some reason, the left absolutely hates this movie, okay? They absolutely despise this movie. Now, you may be thinking, well, why would that be, Vince? I mean, it's just about human trafficking. Isn't that sort of a concept we should all be in agreement of? I mean, yeah, we disagree on a whole lot of issues, but you would think, something like human trafficking, right? At least the left wouldn't go out. I mean, we know some things, but they wouldn't go out there and openly say, oh, human trafficking isn't bad or human trafficking isn't real. But apparently, well, we'll show you some interesting things that have been said in a second. But, right off the gate, I think part of the reason maybe they've been so threatened by this, just to contextualize it, is that this movie's been a huge hit across America. I encourage you all to go and see it yourself. It's very good. But before their 4th of July release, they notched $10 million in pre-sales. That beat the Indiana Jones movie. And I think now it's up to something like $20 million in revenue. Doing very well for some small-time movie that, you know, I haven't seen a commercial for it on TV. All I've just seen is people in the internet and stuff talking about it. Again, doing very well as a movie. And so that might be part of the reason. But here's the response you're getting. Again, you know, as well as the movie's doing, as much as it is sort of standing up to Hollywood in that regard, fundamentally, the movie is just a movie against human trafficking, right, folks? Now, you could argue to some degree, oh, well, it's right-wing in the sense that there's underlying themes of something like faith and patriotism, which, you know, okay, fine. If you want to say that, that's kind of a self-own in many ways, because are you saying that like patriotism is an exclusively right-wing thing? Well, obviously in this day and age it basically is, but is that what you're saying? Is that what you're trying to argue, right? It's so ridiculous. So let's be clear about that before we talk about this. This is not a political movie. It's not a Dinesh D'Souza movie. The theme and what they're trying to do is to stop human trafficking, okay? It's a movie about human trafficking. It, by the way, tells the true story of a person who is fighting against human trafficking, okay? So with all that understood, you know, there's nothing about the movie that should be political, right? We should all just look at this and say, wow, that's a powerful piece about human trafficking. We don't talk about human trafficking enough. Very good movie, very important movie. Well, take a look at the liberal media reaction to this movie called The Sound of Freedom. So, The Guardian has said, The Sound of Freedom is a QAnon-adjacent thriller that is seducing America, okay? And apparently, you know, you read the byline here. They're calling it a paranoid new movie turning into a surprise box office hit. Well, you got one thing right in there, which is it is a surprise box office hit. Rolling Stone calls it a superhero movie for dads with brainworms. The QAnon-tinged thriller about child trafficking is designed to appeal to the conscience of a conspiracy-addled boomer. Okay? So you guys got that? If you watch The Sound of Freedom and you thought, you know, that's a very compelling movie. Human trafficking is a big deal, and this is, you know, is very well done. Apparently, that makes you paranoid. Apparently, that makes you a conspiracy theorist. And apparently, that makes you QAnon. Whatever that seems to mean these days, because, you know, oop, my bad. Oops. Didn't mean to do.
And The Sound of Freedom.
Sorry about that. I didn't mean to. I clicked away. That's my bad. Okay. All right, as I was saying, sorry about that. As I was saying, yeah, so that makes you QAnon, okay? Now, what exactly does QAnon mean? I actually have no idea. You know, back in 2020, if you supported Donald Trump, that made you QAnon. You know, and then a few months ago, it was if you question the 2020 election, if you just ask questions about it, that makes you QAnon. Apparently now it's if you oppose human trafficking, if you're concerned about human trafficking, if in any way you watch a true story about human trafficking and find it moving, apparently that makes you a QAnon conspiracy theorist, okay? And let me be clear, it was not just these two articles. Check out CNN, okay? CNN over the weekend talking about The Sound of Freedom basically reinforced what all the liberal media have been coalescing to say, which is if you watch the movie and you're concerned about human trafficking, that makes you a QAnon right-wing conspiracy theorist. Check it out.
And The Sound of Freedom does focus on a real issue of sex trafficking. But that theme, it's sort of like that kernel of truth that feeds the QAnon conspiracy theory. Tell us how those two things work together.
Sure.
The kernel of truth, for the record, being that the entire movie is based on a true story. Okay, so when you say kernel of truth, like, we're not talking about, oh, human trafficking is just a thing and this is a made-up story. We're saying the whole movie is based on a true story. So when you say kernel of truth, you know, that's a little bit misleading, but all right, let's continue the clip.
And the most durable and the most believable conspiracy theories are not entirely false. There's something in them that is true and the rest of it is false, but the believers point to the one true thing and they say, oh, you don't believe that this particular thing is true. In terms of child trafficking, we know trafficking is real. We know it has real victims. No one is denying that. But these films are created out of moral panics. They're created out of bogus statistics. They're created out of fear. And with something like Sound of Freedom, it specifically is looking at QAnon concepts of these child trafficking rings that are run by the high-level elites.
That was interesting, isn't it? Okay. So they accuse it of being based on a moral panic. Again, this is based on a true story. They say bogus statistics. Again, the movie is based on a true story. Okay, so what they're trying to say in that clip more or less is like, yeah, I mean, human trafficking is real, but it doesn't really happen that often. Well, first of all, yes, it does happen that often. I will say that. First of all, the numbers don't lie. And, you know, and let me just say, I don't know if you guys have had this experience. I don't know, maybe it's just I'm weird for this for some reason, but I know several people, like, you know, just through the years, who at some point said, yeah, so-and-so, like, at some point someone tried to human traffic me. You know, and I know that a lot of girls say, like, they walk around America and constantly have to have, you know, eyes in the back of their head because that stuff's it's a very real issue, guys. I'm just trying to say, it's a very real issue, okay? So it's not made up. It's not bogus. The statistics are not bogus. But even if they were, you can't say any of that about the movie because, again, what is the movie based on? A true story, okay? It's based on a true story. So what are you even trying to argue there, right? It really did happen. How can it be fear-mongering or creating fake moral panic when it's real moral panic? Because A, the issue of human trafficking is real. Stop trying to say that it's not. B, it actually is widespread. Stop trying to say that it's not. But all of that aside, you throw all of that out. Most importantly, the narrative and the story that the movie tells is a true story. So there's no level on which you can do this, okay, folks? But, you know, it does tell you a lot hearing that response, I will say. And it really makes you have to ask the question, why are liberals in the mainstream media so against this movie? You know, because the way they're showing their cards, I mean, we already kind of knew things about this stuff and we understood, right? Am I particularly surprised to any degree? No, but I guess I am to a degree sort of shocked that they so transparently would come out and basically say, hey, human trafficking is not a real issue. If you talk at all about human trafficking, you're just trying to create fake moral panic and like, who cares? It's QAnon. You're just believing QAnon, bro. And then, so apparently, right, all the real victims of human trafficking, including the families and the victims of the people who were impacted in the true events that led up to this movie, apparently CNN is looking at you and saying, you're a QAnon conspiracy theorist. So you guys hear that? If any of you out there were the victim of trafficking or attempted trafficking, or you're the family members of attempted human trafficking or human trafficking, you got that, guys? That actually didn't happen. You're just a QAnon conspiracy theorist, and no one should ever tell the story of your story because then they would just be trying to create right-wing paranoia. Disgusting. But it's shocking that they would so transparently go out there and say that. So I suppose we should ask the question, why? Why is it that they so badly and desperately do not want you to see this movie? Well, I think there's an innocent explanation and there's a very, very guilty explanation. Of course, the innocent explanation is simply that the movie is destroying Hollywood right now, right? Just some small-time, unsuspecting film. Again, 10 million in pre-sales. It beat Indiana Jones in the pre-sales. And even now is competing. You look at the charts, competing very well with all the big movies that are out right now during the summer. So that could be part of the reason, right? Hollywood feels threatened. Hollywood's trying to make some calls to the liberal media saying, hey, you need to shut down this movie. Stop seeing this movie, blah, blah, blah. That could be one reason. I'm sure that's a part of it. But let's be honest, there's probably also a second reason. And I think the second reason is for some reason out there, they do not want you to talk about human trafficking or pay attention to human trafficking or care about human trafficking. Which is, of course, interesting. Because you would expect with Me Too and feminism and all of that stuff, and, obviously, as we know, the primary victim of human trafficking are women, you would expect that the left would actually want to make a big issue of human trafficking, right? Because, it fits in with the Me Too. It actually seems on brand for a lot of the stuff that they do. You would think, at least. But notice that it's not, right? What's going on there? Clearly, for some reason, for whatever reason, I don't know, but for some reason, liberal mainstream media and just the people in power do not want you to pay attention to human trafficking. They don't want you to care about it. They don't want you to fear it. They don't want you to think it's an issue. And they will call you the worst of names if you stand up and say either it's bad, it's an issue, tell the stories of it, blah, blah, blah. I'm not here on YouTube to, accuse anyone of anything. I'm not really saying anything. I'm just saying, you, the people, can all draw your own conclusions as to why it is. Again, it's up to you to decide, but why exactly is it that all these people don't want you to care about human trafficking so bad? I don't know. That's up to you, truly. But yeah, with all that said, clearly, they don't want you paying attention to this movie or the issue of human trafficking. So my call to action for all of you guys is go see The Sound of Freedom, right? Go see the movie. It's still in theaters this week. Go support it. I know they're going to be screening it at some conservative events, I think, in the next week. So go check it out. Great movie. Highly recommend. Go support this movie. If for no other reason, even if you don't even know what it's about, you don't really care, hey, clearly they don't want you to see it. So go check it out. Everyone go check out The Sound of Freedom. But all right, guys, let me move on here. Also, Andrew Tate's the worst guy ever. We need to lock him up. Yeah, actually, that's true. They've been going out here and saying human trafficking. He's a human trafficker. Okay, looking at the way they're responding to Sound of Freedom, you really expect me to believe that? Oh, suddenly we care so much about human trafficking. Okay, it is so true, Lizel. All right, Rowley Gonzalez for the $2 says, excited to see you at SAS. Always cool talking 07. All right, yeah, for sure, man. I will see you at SAS. Rowley Gonzalez, Burgundy Blue for $5 says, have you ever thought about going on the Lotus Eaters show? Sargon's new shared channel. They mentioned you in one of their videos and seem to like you. Thank you for the $5. I mean, yeah, I know, actually, they're the reason that Vice clip of mine blew up. Right? You remember the whole thing where, the Daily Wire was talking about it. Everyone was talking about it. It was actually them. I think it was Callum or whatever. He actually shared one of the clips of me, that clip of me, and he's the reason it went viral. So, I mean, yeah, I don't have any issues with them. I'm cool with them. And, if they want to do it, then I would be down to do it. Why do we have wide open borders making this problem terribly worse? Well, again, why do you, it's true. Why do you think they don't want you to talk about it? They don't want you to pay attention to this issue for that very reason. Because first of all, yeah, it's the border. It would make people care about what's happening at the border. I would argue it's several layers deeper than that. There's probably more layers to it, but even on the surface, that's absolutely true. So, yeah, did Victor Shi respond to you yet? He did not respond to me yet. I don't think he ever will. The guy's literally a paid shill for Biden, okay? I think, according to the FE, someone actually sent it to me. I think, according to the FEC, he directly takes money from the DNC. And he's basically like Harry Sisson on steroids with that stuff, because his shilling for Biden is just, I don't know, next levels of laughable. But all right. Again, guys, you do want to support tonight, feel free to send it in via the super chats. But we will move on here, ladies and gentlemen, to our next story. So, have you worked out lately? You gone to the gym? Just want to be in healthy shape, don't want to have the beauty image of Lizzo. Well, apparently, according to MSNBC, that apparently makes you far right. If you care about fitness, if you go to the gym, if you work out, apparently, according to MSNBC here, the far right's obsession with fitness is going digital. All right. And then I put in the Joe Rogan response here just to prove, Joe Rogan's not right wing. And even he's looking at this like, what the heck are you talking? How is it far right to work out? Okay. So we get into this article a little bit here. I'll read it for us here on stream, ladies and gentlemen. But here we go. Pandemic fitness trends have gone more extreme. Literally, guys. Literally. Working out, extreme. Fitness, extreme. To some degree, I kind of do understand what they're saying. I do think there is something right-wing about working out, but I'll explain that in a second. Let's just read the ridiculousness here first. White supremacists' latest scheme to valorize violence and hypermasculinity has gone digital. Whoa. Bad picture there, YouTube. But anyways, how about we get into this? It appears that the far right has taken advantage of pandemic at-home fitness trends to expand its decade-plus radicalization of physical mixed martial arts, MMA, and combat sports spaces. So you guys got that? Are you a conservative who's interested in mixed martial arts? You want to learn to fight, you want to learn to defend you may be a far-right radical Nazi conspiracy theorist. Earlier this month, researchers reported that a network of online fascist fitness chat groups on the encrypted platform Telegram are recruiting and radicalizing young men with neo-Nazi white supremacist extremist ideologies. Initially lured with health tips and strategies for positive physical changes, new recruits are later invited to join closed chat groups where far-right content is shared. So basically what they're saying, as you may know, there's this increasing movement of fitness on the internet. And yeah, some of it is right-wing, you could say. You have Carnivore Aurelius, you got movements like that, you got like the Christian lifter movement, you got the Andrew Tate stuff, but I would argue the fitness movement is bigger than that. You have people like David Goggins who are totally non-political, non-cultural, and just saying work out, work out. But I think they're starting to realize, and I will talk about this in a second, why there's some truth to what they are saying, in the sense that there is a real correlation between people working out, bettering themselves, and becoming more right-wing in many metrics, and I will discuss that in a second. But basically, what they're now trying to do is make up. This is made up, folks. This is not real. Are you joining one of those men's group that gives you a workout plan? Watch out. You might have an Azov battalion ready to recruit you to a neo-Nazi network. Sure, because that's definitely what's happening. It's such nonsense. Physical fitness has always been, and look, they admitted it themselves. Read the sentence here. Physical fitness has always been central to the far right. Okay, so you guys got that? If you're trying to be physically fit, if you think health is important, you want to build muscle, you want to take care of yourself, not being fat, not looking like Lizzo, that is central to the far right. And so if you are physically fit, watch out. Next time you see a buff guy on the street, he may be a right-wing extremist. He may literally be Hitler too. Okay, he may be Hitler the sequel, just saying. All right? But yeah, in, that book, H-Man here fixated on boxing and jiu-jitsu, believing they could help him create an army of millions of blah, blah, blah. Okay. I mean, listen. Maybe that's because, right, fitness, like stronger men are just like better soldiers. Could that be a reason why he wanted that, as do any military on Earth? Right? But the correlation, it's physical fitness that's far right, because apparently, the H guy, believed that he wanted his army to be physically fit, right? So that's not just common sense. No, that means physical fitness is far right, even though physical fitness has been around for since the beginning of human time. No, guys. Physical fitness, I think you might be a Nazi. Okay. In more modern times, far-right groups have launched MMA and boxing gyms in Ukraine, Canada, and France, among other places, focused on training far-right nationalists in violent hand-to-hand combat and street fighting techniques. It's caught the attention of intelligence authorities, especially in Europe. All right, so you guys got that? The FBI may be spying on you if you go to the gym, especially a combat gym. How dare you do that? Where various reports have noted the role of combat sports and MMA in radicalizing and promoting far-right violence. It's just unhinged. Can you imagine publishing this? Okay. But, I can imagine your average MSNBC reader, fat, out of shape, neck beard, freaking like the South Park online character, or the soy jack, like, yeah, that's right, that's why the reason why all the handsome guys who work out and are bigger than me and stronger than me and better than me in every human metric, that's why, because they're far right Nazis. I'm sure that's the reason why, you can't get a girlfriend and you're, eternally online alone. I'm sure that's the reason why. It's because all the guys who take care of themselves and work out and do good stuff, they're actually far right Nazis. Don't you know? It's not your fault. It's definitely not your fault, my friend. But anyways, he goes on. Apparently in Maryland, they were recruiting white supremacists to train in mixed martial arts, blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, have you ever considered this, MSNBC? Have you considered it's not just about the far right? It's just, generally speaking, if you want to be stronger and better and more competent, physical fitness is a part of that, right? If you're trying to fight any type of thing, I'm not calling for that. I'm just saying, if you were trying to do anything that would require physical fitness, wouldn't you want to be physically fit? I don't know. But here you go. The intersection of fitness and extremism leans into a shared obsession with the male body, training, masculinity, testosterone, and competition. Physical fitness training, blah, 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 appeals to the far right for many reasons. They need to accept physical pain, be warriors, and embrace messaging around solidarity, heroism, and brotherhood. Wow, how dare people believe in, they need to be warriors, go through trauma and pain, solidarity, heroism, brotherhood. How dare they do that? It must be because they're a Nazi. There's no other possible reason. Okay. It's championed as a tool to help fight the coming race war and street battles that will. Yeah, I'm sure that that's the reason why MSNBC. That's the reason why more men are in the gym these days. It's not because they want to get in the gym, right? And then the hierarchy of reasons. It couldn't be because they want to feel better about themselves. They want to get girls. No. It must be because, guys, they're skinheads who want to fight a race war in the streets. I'm sure that's the reason why. Okay, so. Yeah, we go on. I think you guys basically get the point. Blah, 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 blah. Now, as unhinged as this article is, I do have to say there is some truth in what they're getting at. Not in the sense that, oh, if you work out, that means you are, a Nazi, right? That's not what I'm saying. But there is a real reason why they discourage working out. And they say, fat is positive. Men, you don't need to be strong, that you don't need to be alpha, whatever. Don't work out. Don't hit the gym. Don't better yourself. And it really has to do ultimately with male testosterone. And that's why I said in the beginning of this clip, I said, there is some truth to what they're trying to get at in this article. Not that, oh, you work out, you're a Nazi. But there is truth in the idea that working out in some ways is inherently more right-wing, especially in men. Specifically because it increases male testosterone. Now, testosterone, obviously the natural male hormone, but it actually has a correlation with a great number of things that, are not only more right-wing, quote unquote, but actually are sort of necessary to stand up to the current system and the current order of things. For example, this is a known fact that men with higher testosterone are correlated with being, and they've done studies on this, are correlated in a group situation to be more willing to stand up and take charge of the group and ultimately maybe stand up against authority, right? They study that men and boys with higher testosterone are always more likely to stand up to authority. Now, if you are the authority, especially if you're an evil authority, you're like, hey, I'm Bill Gates, you would want naturally, right? In order for your authority not to be questioned, you need men with lower testosterone. Even further, on a political basis, they actually did a study in the 2010s where I believe they had registered Democrats who were on testosterone replacement therapy, and they actually observed that with an increase in their biological testosterone, in general, they actually became more Republican-leaning, more conservative politically. And so, as much as you see the right-wing joke, oh, soy boys, blah, 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 there actually is a very real correlation, right, between testosterone and sort of conservatism and right-wing ideas. That's not made up. That's actually biologically real, which is kind of a reason why, in my opinion, they have a war against male testosterone. This is why they promote body positivity. Don't work out, don't go to the gym. You go to the gym, you're a far-right extremist. This is also why, in my opinion, they put the things they do in the food system, right? Because we talk about this a lot on the channel, but obviously the food system in America, very cancerous, poisoning a lot of people. But really what it does more than anything else, there's a lot of phytoestrogen, right? There's phytoestrogen in the microplastics we all, keep in touch and all that stuff. There's phytoestrogen, or there's estrogen, I believe, in like seed oils and all that, the hormones they put in the food, the meat, everything. And what is that ultimately about? That damages male testosterone, right? And so this is a big reason why male sperm count is now declining, why, testosterone levels have dropped, all the visible metrics, right? That is because of a lot of different reasons, but part of it actually is the stuff they feed us as a culture and a society, right? It's real. Food in America, we talk about all the time, poisonous, a lot of bad stuff in that. So I think that's all for a reason. And you can kind of observe this, can you not? Can you observe naturally that, right-wingers tend to have higher testosterone? I think you can. I'm not saying that I'm the peak of male physical performance or anything like that, but kind of compare just conservatives to liberals overall, right? You can think of many right-wing guys out there who are jacked, specimens of man. What's the highest T leftist out there? Like Hassan Piker? Is that the best they got, right? Who even then, it's like, you see it, it's very real. You can say it's not real. It is very real. There is a very real correlation between testosterone and conservatism. That's precisely why they don't want you to work out. That's why precisely they don't want you to have a healthy life and do the things naturally that embrace male testosterone. That's a big reason also they don't want you to eat red meat, right? The whole movement, red meat is bad for you. Red meat is bad for you. That's a psyop. The reason they're doing that, right, is because red meat, guess what? More than any other food, boosts male testosterone. See what's going on there? Okay, so don't let them do it. Don't let them do it. Okay, eat healthy, eat clean, try to avoid all the preservatives and microplastics, work out, do all of those things, because, you know, in many actual real tangible ways, you are standing up to the system by doing those. It may seem frivolous, it may seem like a joke. I know the soy boy thing is kind of a beta male, you know, that's kind of a caricature, but there is something very real about it. So I don't think the MSNBC article, while in bad faith and while kind of ridiculous, I don't think the premise of it is entirely wrong. There is absolutely something right-wing about working out, which is why, you know, you should all do it, and I should do it, and we should all do it. So it is real. It's very true. But anyways, here we go. We got super chats. Let me get caught up here, ladies and gentlemen. Hold on. All right, we're getting caught up here on super chats. Sheeny Beanie for $2, thank you very much, says they want to keep sweeping Epstein under the rug. Well, you know, that's the thing though, is I think, actually wait, I'm forgetting to do the whole sound effect thing. I totally forgot about that. We should do that. It adds to the super chats. All right, hold on. Sheeny Beanie for $2 says they want to keep sweeping Epstein under the rug. It is so true. But I think it's more than that. I mean, let's be real. There's probably, I'm not saying there are, but hypothetically, it would make sense if it was a grander story they just generally don't want people paying attention to, and he's just maybe one part of it, you know, just saying. But yeah, thank you for the $2. I appreciate it very much. Here we go. Burgundy Blue for $10 says, I like how nobody noticed I had my friends in certain intelligence agencies to neutralize the threat to our democracy known as Enclave Nationalists. Kidding, of course, in Minecraft. But I seriously wonder what happened to the guy. Thank you for the $10, Burgundy Blue. Yeah, I don't know what happened to him either. He just magically disappeared. I mean, I'm not sure. He may have just left. Who knows? Maybe he just hates us. I have no idea. I think, I mean, I could see the possibility maybe that, you know, let's be real. I don't know. I'm just speculating. I could see a real possibility that the stuff he was, you know, posting online got him in trouble with his parents or school or whatever it is, and maybe they just took his phone. That's my running theory. Honestly, Burgundy Blue, that's my theory. I don't know. So who knows? I mean, I hope he's okay. I don't want anything bad to happen to the guy, but I don't know where he is. But yeah, thank you for the $10, Burgundy Blue. I appreciate it very much. Jack Schaefer became a Dalpac General channel member. I appreciate that, Jack Schaefer. Thank you very much. God bless you. Dollar for $5 says, going through a drive-thru is like a drug deal. Going around the back of a sketchy building so a guy can give you a greasy bag of vegetable oil. Gross. Thank you for the $5, dollar for dollar. And that's true. That's actually very true. Yeah, but a drive-through kind of is a drug deal in some ways. You can make that argument. You really could. Thank you for the $5. Burgundy Blue for $5 says, have you ever heard of the "you will never be a real woman" copy pasta? It's a bit exaggerated, but the general idea is true. You should read it on stream. Thank you for the $5, Burgundy Blue. We may have to check that out in the super chat portion here. But let's take a look. Anything else? Let me make sure we didn't get anything on Streamlabs. Let me get caught up. I think we're good here. Hold on, I gotta take a sip of water. The voice is a little strained there. All right, we're good now. Okay. Well, very briefly, before we go into full super chats, I'm not even gonna make this a full story because it's kind of Saturday's news at this point. I think most of you guys have seen it, but so I didn't even prepare the clips for it. But I'm sure most of you guys saw Donald Trump at UFC this weekend. He had this really cool ring walk. Came out like a chat. He actually came out like a fighter. It was really cool. Like, he had his theme music, all that stuff. That was cool. He shook hands, obviously Dana White. He shook hands and met Joe Rogan, which was pretty cool. They actually had an exchange. Hey, JRE coming soon? I don't know, but he shook hands with Joe Rogan. He met Rice Gum. He met a bunch of YouTubers, all this stuff. It was just a really cool time overall. And the commentary I had on it, as I watched it, and just it reminded me in many cases that, wow, this is going to be probably the coolest president of our lifetime. You know, no one will ever be that cool for decades to come, unless I run for president. No, just kidding. But no, in all seriousness, right? Donald Trump, to this day, in my opinion, is still cool. And the optics, just the victory of him walking through UFC like that, you know, is it going to necessarily make a big difference in the 2024 election? No, but it does demonstrate something that I guess Donald Trump has, this sort of it factor, this aura to him that, you know, no one else really has in American politics. And the reason I bring that up is that, I know there's a lot of people as of late who like to say Donald Trump is unelectable, right? And they'll say we need DeSantis. There's some people who say we need Nikki Haley for some strange reason, all three of those supporters, all that stuff. But I looked at a moment like that and how loved he was by that arena and how loved he was by the internet and just how cool that entire situation was. And to me, if you really properly understand that the people who delivered 2016 primarily, truly, were disaffected men, right? Disaffected men in the Midwest and in the South, places like that. Many of them mostly disaffected white guys, right? Realistically. And I watched a moment like that, him coming out with UFC, with Dana White, him actually shaking hands with a lot of the, old school 2016 era YouTubers that we grew up with, like people like Rice Gum and whatnot. And I watched that and say, you can say, oh, well, Donald Trump this, Donald Trump. Who out there can reach disaffected men the way he does? Who out there can come off as so cool to guys like us, comes out to UFC, Dana White, Joe Rogan, all of that stuff. I mean, if you were really to be realistic, that sort of spirit is the spirit that won us in 2016 and ultimately drives the modern Republican Party. I mean, hold on, I'm gonna itch you back. So I don't know, just realistically, I look at that and say, not only was it really cool, not only was it epic, but you can stand there and say, oh, well, Vince, I don't care about that. I just care about policies. And don't you know, Ron DeSanctimonious is all about policy, and he has the ideas I like, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, realistically, right? If your guy is everything you say it is versus Trump, whatever, the policies are going to be the policies, realistically. Okay, because Ron DeSantis, policy-wise, is basically running the same campaign as Trump. But in terms of the electability aspect, I think something like energy, something like enthusiasm, something like optics, especially considering how turnout affects the modern electoral system, I think that's very underrated. But even furthermore, when I look to 2024, I don't just want a guy to get in there and do effective policies for a few years. You know why? Because that's not going to save the country. Realistically, that's not going to save the country. Donald Trump, Ron DeSantis, Vivek Ramaswamy, doesn't matter who it is. They're not going to go in 4 to 8 years overturn the entire country. We have a lot of things to fix, right? The bureaucracy is not going to get demolished in 4 years. Neither is, the financial system. Neither is the immigration system. All this stuff is going to take time, which is why when I look and say, in 2050, if we're standing on the top of the mountain and by some miracle of God's grace, we reclaimed America, who's going to be the guy of the current cycle? Because I really do think 2024 is probably our last chance realistically on a national level to get this started. Who's going to be the guy that we look back on and say, he's the one who started it. He's the one who started the movement. He's the one who started the long march to power where we are now. When I think about that, who else could it be but Donald Trump? Who else could it be? DeSantis may be a very effective president on policy, but I mean, let's be real. Is he going to be the guy who leaves a lasting legacy culturally and politically speaking? Probably not. And, if this were the 1980s, maybe that's all you would have needed. Just go and fix some policies, get the country back on track. But we have huge problems nationally, in my opinion. The national debt is insurmountable. The bureaucracy is insurmountable, all that stuff. And by the way, the patriots of this country are very demoralized, You need someone who gets them checked back into the political system, realistically, because a lot of the normal people in this country who don't like the direction, I mean, realistically, they don't just need a leader. They don't just need a legislator, I should say, or a governor. They need a hero. Truly, they need a superhero. They need a leader, You look at any great guy in history who they said, he led the movement. He led the army into battle. He conquered whatever it is. Name me one guy who was not a larger than life figure, right? Name me the guy, Napoleon Bonaparte, he conquered like half of Europe by, just kind of being this quiet guy who, he didn't talk much, but he just knew all the battle plans and all that stuff. Is that what galvanizes like historic movements, which is what we need? Understand that again, which is what we need. See, it's different because I'll say even on that front, maybe I'm hypocritical because my favorite president of all time is a very forgotten president. It's Calvin Coolidge. He's, you know, they call him Silent Cal. He didn't talk much. He just sat there. He did effective conservative policies and very effective, but no one knows his name. No one remembers him, you know. But the thing is, he was president in the 1920s. That worked in the 1920s. Because he got in, all he had to do was just repeal the stuff that Woodrow Wilson did that was bad. Okay, fine. Cool. That's all we need. This country now has decades and decades of damage built into it, right? DeSantis, Trump, you're not going to take America back in 4 to 8 years. You're just not. So I look long term. Who is going to be the hero that led us into that first battle, figuratively speaking? And I don't see that in any of the other candidates, frankly. I just don't see it. I just don't see it. You know, you guys say you'd never vote for Trump. I kind of say, well, what choice do we have than Trump, realistically, you know? If DeSantis miraculously comes back in this primary, he's down like 30, 40 points and wins, and, you know, I genuinely hope he's everything you guys say he is, but I just don't see it. To tell you the truth, I just don't see it. And again, when I look to next year's election, I don't just think, oh, well, you know, how can we do a few policies to get stuff back on track? Because that's not what we need. We need a superhero, truly. You know, desperate times call for desperate measures. And, you know, I mean, I don't know. Someone like a DeSantis maybe could work in a few years when we got the ball rolling. You know what I mean? The political revolution has started. And so you just have someone kind of hold the ship, hold the line. You know, don't make things worse, make things a little bit incrementally better. But I just genuinely, I can't look in good faith at the current hour, the current moment and say, you know, what we need is a guy who struggles with charisma. He struggles to have an impact. He struggles with likability. Struggles to really be a leader, right? Struggles to really step up and lead. I don't know. I don't see it. I don't see it. But anyways, that wraps up our main stories for tonight. So we will do super chats for about 20 minutes. We'll say until about 9:10 here. So we are now open to questions, comments, super chats. The floor is yours. I'll be reading them all. So again, guys, if you do have questions or comments, or you just want to super chat to support the show, feel free to send it in via these super chats. Your support on this show is greatly appreciated, but let's check it out here. Okay, dollar for $2 says LeBron is the highest T leftist, but he's not natty. Thank you for the $2. Well, the thing is, dollar for dollar though, right? Is that, hold on, let me take a sip of water. Sorry. LeBron's leftism is not political leftism, I would argue. I would argue it's not. I bet you if you sat down LeBron in a private room and asked him, like, you know, what are your thoughts on the alphabet movement, for instance? I would actually venture to, again, privately, I don't know what he says publicly. Privately, I might venture to speculate he kind of has actually like right-wing beliefs on that regard. I think the thing with LeBron more than anything else is like a racial thing, right? I think he's sort of like a racial separatist, a racial nationalist. And so I think that's really what it's about with LeBron, right? I wouldn't say LeBron's like an SJW. I think he's just very, very pro in a left-wing separatist sense, like his own race. You know what I mean? So I think that's really what drives LeBron and a lot of these pro athletes, for the record. So yeah, you could say the pro athletes, but like I said, I think more so they're just like racial nationalists for their race, right? I think that's really what's more than their personal views, you know? I guess, I mean, Dwayne Wade, I mean, he's perfectly okay with his daughter or son or whatever being, you know, that stuff. But for the most part, I bet you a lot of these pro athletes very privately. Okay, are we back? All right, we should be back. Okay, we're back. All right, we almost had an incident there. Refresh, should be back. Okay, I think we're back. What was I saying? What was I talking about? Oh, yeah, I've never heard of that. That's crazy. Apparently, Epstein had a painting of Bush flying. Wow, that's crazy. Thank you for the $10, Burgundy Blue. I never knew that. Dollar for $2 says lat pull downs are so overrated. Just do pull ups. Thank you for the 2. No, this is real. Actually, I totally. Sorry, I've been forgetting to do the little. Hold on. There you go. Lat pull downs are so overrated. Just do pull-ups. I agree. Now, I don't think lat pull downs are bad. Okay, they're still a good exercise. It spot trains the back more like directly. But the other day, I remember it was very crowded, and because I used to start back and buys with lat pull downs. Everything was taken. The rows were taken. The pull downs were taken. And the only thing open was the pull-up machine. And so I just went straight to the pull-ups. And that, like, I got a way better pump and workout out of starting off with that than anything else. And so now I swear by it, okay? If you ever hitting back, just start with pull downs. Don't even bother. Start with pull-ups, I should say. And then, pull downs, rows, all that stuff. You can do that stuff after, but you start with pull-ups, especially because you have the most energy at the start of the workout, and so you can get the most in. It's crazy, right? And, pull-ups are really the best. It really is. It's truly, we get all fancy with these weights, but really, if you just did push-ups and pull-ups, I mean, you'd basically be training most of your upper body, and then you've got to do stuff after that. Friendly Medic sends a member chat. Thank you very much. Says, yo, Vince, what are your thoughts on labor unions? Okay. So, I'm not principally against the idea of a labor union, but I think in the vast majority of cases in the United States, especially in modern day, they're just used to advance, just leftist nonsense, just libtard stuff. Like, I mean, I really can't think of many unions out there that very accurately represent their workers well, right? And very often they just, also just get in the way of people, get in the way of workers. It gets annoying, right? Because if you're a worker who you just want to do the work, you just want to get paid, you don't want to go through all this other nonsense. A lot of times the union traps you. And then even if the union is not mandatory, very often the union will create social pressure. Hey, you have to join this union. And then we're going to donate to the Democrats and implement a bunch of stupid nonsense you don't need and tell you can't work, even though you need the money, blah, 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 all this stuff. So, I think it would be nice if conservatives could specifically go to like blue collar unions and maybe make our own unions, you know what I mean? And like, especially the Midwest, this could probably be a hit. You just all those auto workers, steel workers, all that stuff. Go create unions that represent conservatism and just pro Trump, donate to Republicans, all that stuff. But I think in general, the modern labor union in this country it really just drags us down. I definitely never want to work a job where it's unionized because, what really happens very often is you get paid less, but they're like, oh, but you have benefits, my guy. We got you healthcare. Yeah, I don't care. Because I'm all about any job, any task. I want you to just give me the money and I'll figure out how to spend it. It's true, right? There's a lot of people who, because they can't manage money or whatever, they're like, yeah, I want you to pay all my benefits. And then I don't want any of that, right? I want money up front. And I want, if I want to work that much hours and get the money for it, why are you in my way to stop me, right? So that's my personal philosophy. I mean, I don't know. I think, like I said, I'm not against unions. I mean, I think it would be kind of suicidal for Republicans to go out there and just say, abolish all the labor unions. But I think in the modern day, they're kind of just a drag. But yeah, we do need something of a conservative union, especially, I mean, if we really understand properly. I think here's the problem with conservatives and Republicans, right? Most of our base historically has been the business owners, not just the big business owners, the small business owners too, right? If you really look, for instance, at the Trump tax cuts, it benefits the small business owners the most, right? So if you're a 1099, if you're independent contractor, independent business, it's great. All these write-offs, very good cut. Whereas the complaint of the W-2, the wages, right, the people who work on a salary, they kind of got screwed over by it. Not screwed over, but they didn't see as much of a benefit, I should say, as the business owners. I think the thing about Republicans is that, our base is sort of changing, right? We still have the small business owners, but the big business, the big finance that used to back the GOP, that's all switched sides, as you may notoriously know. And largely because of the Trump realignment, there's a lot of, union workers now, as in the Midwest, all that stuff, who lean and gravitate more towards the Republican Party, who historically, if you were a union, it was Democrat, right? You were a Democrat. Didn't matter what kind of union. If you were a union worker, it was a Democrat thing. Republicans were the party of business and of capital, right? I think now we have to be kind of understanding of that, which is why I propose the conservative union idea. Now, me personally, on a personal level, can't freaking stand the union stuff, if I were to tell you the truth, right? But that's because I'm a 1099. I always plan to run my own business, hopefully. Like, that's the ideal. I want to work for myself. I don't want to deal with any of this nonsense, So that's how I stand. But, that's a selfish answer, right? I think we also have to recognize, and all you small business owners out there who, like, you're Republican, all that stuff. I think we have to recognize, too, that there's a level of this which our base is changing, and we have to be kind of understanding of that, which is why Trump comes along, and he's not all the time free market. He's kind of mixed, right? He's at market. He still appeals to the small business owners, which is important. You still have to appeal to small business. But he also sometimes goes to the unions and says, hey, look, Midwestern trade worker, I'm for you. So I think it's a complicated relationship, but we kind of have to, merge both interests, in my opinion. So, all right, Burgundy Blue for $2 says Bush did 710. It's so true. Bush did indeed do 710. It is so real and true. But this is one of the reasons why Republicans began losing the suburbs. No, well, I think in the case of the suburbs, it's more so on the cultural front, right? Because I think a lot of suburbs agree more with the historic Republicans on economic issues, right? No suburbanite really wants to pay taxes and all that stuff. Realistically, of the upper middle class, you could say suburbs. I don't think it's economic issues that are a problem. I think it's more so culture. I don't like Trump's personality, abortion, other stuff. Oh my gosh, you're so mean to this and that, because there's sort of suburban liberal mindset, I guess, where they don't, because they're not on the front lines of a lot of culture war issues. They don't really. I don't see crime in my neighborhood, so I don't see the issue. You know what I mean? So I think a lot of the suburbanites, at least the past few years, have looked at us on the cultural issues and been like, whoa, whoa, whoa. But I think now that's starting to change, because these issues are coming to the suburbs, right? You're starting to see more homeless people around, and it touches the suburbs. You're starting to see more crime. The schools, notorious issue that won Glenn Youngkin in the election. So I think that's what it is with the suburbs. I think we lost big business because, for reasons I think we understand. It's just globalism, all that stuff. The liberals took over big business, fine. But I think we have a hard time because our base is small business, which we should keep, okay? I'm small business. But also, now who's coming over in exchange for the Democrats getting big business is the union worker. The union workers are becoming more Republican. So we got to try to figure out how to balance both those interests. Because us small business owners, we hate unions. But the union workers hate the small business owners, right? You see what I'm saying? So it's a difficult relationship. You got to kind of figure out a solution in the middle, in my opinion. And that's going to be the new Republican Party. You know what I'm saying? The new alliance there, the new coalition. Which I'm sure you could figure out a way to make it work, but it's complicated. Excuse me, I have to blow my nose. I'm getting freaking... All right. I think we're good. All right, we're going to end here at 9:10 p.m. approximately. So last call for Super Chats, ladies and gentlemen. Any last questions, comments, support you want to send in? We are $5 away from hitting $100 tonight, so feel free to help us cross that line, break the goal. But I appreciate it. Andrew M says, very interesting take. Yeah, well, appreciate it. I feel like I understand some economic issues better now that I actually have to pay my own taxes. It's true. So, because some of my economic stances have changed. I've become more, I would say in some regards, I've become more pro-market than I was maybe like a year or two ago. Because I had this very populist phase where I was like, screw the free market, it's not conservative, all that stuff. And then what happens is you start filing taxes and you do 1099 and all that stuff, and then you realize how it all works. And then you're like, well, maybe the market side has a point, but then also we shouldn't just sell our country out to globalism. So, so that's why I say you have to sort of balance the interest of small business, which is a big Republican constituency, and union workers, which are a growing Republican constituency. So All right, Dirty Mike for $5 helps us break the dono goal. I appreciate it, Dirty Mike. Let's go. All right, actually, I have to issue a formal apology to Dirty Mike because, Dirty Mike's been advocating for the beard on this channel for a long time. Vince, grow out your facial hair, grow out your facial hair. And I, in true conservative fashion, have been incredibly resistant to change, truly. I mean, because I've always been told, Vince, Asians can't grow facial hair. And I also always thought, well, I'd have to assume my facial hair would grow in all patchy because I don't know, I'm Asian. We just don't have the testosterone for it. But, a few days ago, I was getting lazy and I just didn't shave. And I to a degree, I kind of wanted to prove a point. I was like, see, facial hair looks stupid on me. And then everyone was saying, it looks good. It actually looks good, Vince. It's like, okay, that's interesting. So, yeah, I haven't shaved in like about a week, a little over a week now. And, we're growing it out. Honestly, this lighting is not the most flattering because it's a little bit bright. So it kind of overexposes. It doesn't show you what it truly looks like, but you can kind of see it here. I mean, we're growing it in, working on it. I don't think it looks bad, if I were to be honest. I don't know. We did a poll the other night. 80% of you guys said keep the beard. So this might just have to be the thing. We're just gonna grow a beard. I mean, I don't know. My fear still is that some of it might be patchy, but I mean, overall, it's like it is growing on my side of my face too. Like it grows slower, so I don't know. I mean, I think we kind of rock this. What do you think? It does make me look older, which is kind of. I mean, I think that's a good thing because men are respected for maturity, but I don't know. Someone said, no, you need to look younger. I'm like, well, yeah, 20 years old. It is a little weird to see a 20-year-old with a beard, but if I have the tea to grow one, then why not grow one? Louisiana for $2 says Vince going full Gorio Chad with the facial hair. Thank you for the $2, Louisiana. It is true. No, you're right. Like it does. I do think it looks good on me. I'm finally coming around to it. Okay, I'm finally coming around to it. So I apologize to Dirty Mike. Okay, he truly he was right. I was wrong. I myself am surprised for the first time I am wrong. And I will admit that, but it is true. Let's see. Dollar for $2 says thoughts on Planet Fitness and other gay gyms. And that basically does sum it up. Those are my thoughts on it. But yeah, Planet Fitness, everything's purple. You can't slam the weights. Oh my gosh, you slammed the weights. That triggered me. Oh. Yeah. You just never, not even once. Planet Fitness. What a joke. Don't they literally give pizza out at the gym too? It's like, oh, I just had a great workout, bro. No, sorry. Oh, I just had a great workout, bro. I'm gonna eat pizza now. It's a joke. It's basically gym for people who want to feel like they're going to the gym. Or, honestly though, Planet Fitness, I feel like if you're a girl who goes there you use it as a female gym, I mean, fine, whatever. It's pink. It's meant for you. But yeah, if you're a guy who goes to Planet Fitness, you got some issues for sure. Okay. You can't slam the weights. You can't grunt. Isn't that part of it too? Like you can't exhale loudly when you're working out hard. Basically, you can't work out hard. You need to just. Oh, let me do bicep curls with like 2.5 pound weight. I don't know. My professor for my class I had over this summer probably works out at Planet Fitness, unironically. I should have asked him. I kid you not. Okay, now I can talk about it because the class is over. I told you guys I was going to. So I had this public speaking class this past summer with a professor who, I kid you not, he looked like Vosh, okay? You guys know Vosh, the communist YouTuber with the crazy beard. He just looks like a Redditor. He was skinnier than Vosh. I'll give him that. He was kind of like skinny fat, but he's skinny. Okay, fine. But yeah, he looked just like Vosh. He, on the first day of class, had to tell us about how he was a gay man, and then every single day had to mention in some way he is gay. Also found out he's a part of the Green Party. He told us that. This guy was so far left. Okay, he's not even a Democrat. He told us he is part of the Green Party. Okay, so that was this guy. But yeah, he couldn't stop talking about every day about how he looks like Vosh, and then every single day he had to tell us he was gay every single day. I don't know why. He just every day he had to make a joke or do something. I don't know. I mean, you know? And it's very funny because at first, genuinely at first, I thought he might know who I was because I was getting bad grades in the beginning, but we did pull off an A in the end. So I don't know if I won his personal favor or it was just in my head. But yeah. Anyways, point being, I could totally see that guy at Planet Fitness. Okay, I really should have. I should have asked him what gym do you go to? I guarantee you he goes to Planet Fitness. I guarantee you. Okay. And when the guy works out, I think he said, because he just had to talk about himself all the time. This is why I know all this stuff. I think he said he does Pilates or something like that. That's what he does. So yeah, he's a dude who does Pilates. Okay, so yeah, thank you. That's very, yeah, the man doing Pilates. That's very normal. There's nothing weird about that. You know. Show us a picture of your professor. I'll do it on a members block, Andrew. I'm not gonna. He gave me an A. I'm not trying to super duper expose him like that, okay? But well, I'll show you on a members block sometime, okay? I'm not trying to incite and harassment or anything. You know, it's fine. We're cool. But I just brought him up because he's someone who would totally be at Planet Fitness. He'd totally be at Planet Fitness. So, all right, last few super chats here. Your professor hits the sus machine, so true, dollar for dollar. And Jonathan Fields for $5. I keep forgetting to do the thing. Hold on. Sorry about that, guys. Let me do the thing. I forgot to do the thing. They're screaming. They're like, Vince, how dare you not do the thing? Okay, here we go. Lord Aragorn. Oh, I totally missed that. Why did that not show up in the super chat? Lord Aragorn for $5 says maybe white women shouldn't be in beauty pageants anymore. They don't even stand a chance. So true. Thank you for the $5, Lord Aragorn. Good to see you. And yeah, it's real. It's real. The only way a white woman can win a beauty pageant in 2023, even in a white country, it's literally the Netherlands, but the only way you can do that is apparently to be a white man. Okay, so you have a better chance as a white man winning a beauty pageant than a white woman. It's so real. It's so real. All right, let's see. Did I get to this one here? Jonathan Fields for $5 says, good night and God bless you, Vince. I appreciate it, Jonathan Fields. God bless you too, man. Okay, let's see. Got another one here. Okay, I did read that one. Your professor hits the sus machine. So true. Thank you for the $2, dollar for dollar. And let's see what we got here. Oh, Lord Aragorn. It came through twice. I don't know why. I don't know. It's being weird. But Lord Aragorn for $5. What? Oh, wait. No. Why did... Okay. All right. Oh. What is going on? Okay. Okay. Thank you for the $5, Lord Aragorn. I don't know what just happened. I'm just going to read them off of YouTube. I don't know what's going on right now. Hey! Shh! What is it? Okay. All right. I try to get fancy. Let's just not even playing around with the Streamlabs thing, okay? Hannah S. for $2 says, congrats on surviving the class. Well, thank you, Hannah S. I appreciate it. And we did. I honestly did not think I was going to pull off an A, but we did pull off an A. So, okay. Let me make sure any last super chats. Make sure I didn't miss anything here. I think we're good. Okay, well, if we got no more super chats, Lord Aragorn, I don't know why yours isn't showing up on YouTube. I don't know what's happening there. But all right, if we got nothing else, that will wrap up tonight's show. Be sure to tune in tomorrow, same time, same place, for the next episode of The Vince Dao Show. By the way, I forgot to mention this. We actually recorded a debate with a liberal. Okay, it goes about 40 minutes. So sometime this week, we're going to have an episode basically playing that debate. Okay, next time we do it, we'll do it live. I wanted to pre-record this just to get, it right. But there is a debate coming this week with a liberal that's about 40 minutes long. It should be good content. I'll try to pick a night of the week where there's less news, so that way that could just be the show. So just stay posted for that. It'll be fun. But yeah, guys, with that said, thank you to everyone who tuned in. Alpha Moves Only. God bless. Have a very good night. Be sure to leave a like before you go. Let's get the stream to 150 likes. And yeah, see you guys later. Alpha Moves Only. I just said that. And peace. See you guys.